Hello, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the mid-year book freakout tag. So before we get into the questions of the actual tag, let's just get into some statistics. So I have read 49 books and that equals 19,643 pages. The moods I read the most were adventurous, dark and mysterious, which sounds about right. And the genres I read the most were fantasy and science fiction, followed by thriller. And my average rating is 3.86 stars, which is pretty good. But I do enjoy most of the books I read because I usually just decide to read books that I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like in general. So yeah, that makes sense. So the first question is, what's the best book you've read in 2022 so far? And it's hard to choose just one, but if I had to choose just one, which I guess I do, I would say The Priory of the Orange Tree by Samantha Shannon. And this is a massive fantasy standalone book that I actually read just last month. And like I said, it is massive, but I read it really surprisingly fast because I just love it. I love the plot with dragons and prophecies and badass characters, and just the world building was insane in the best way possible. And also I love the romance, which doesn't happen often. So yeah, like I said in the reading vlog that I have for this book that I will link in the description, I loved literally everything about this book. And so yeah, if I had to choose just one, it's this one. But since I don't like to make decisions and choices, I have other books that I really love, which were the whole Poppy War trilogy, because they were also very epic and they made me feel all the emotions. And yeah, they just literally destroyed me, which I apparently love. Okay, second question is, what's the best sequel you've read in 2022 so far? And I've read some sequels of series that I started either last year or before, but none of those were the best sequel. So I'm probably gonna have to go with the sequels of the Poppy War, so the Dragon Republic, which was book 2, and The Burning God. Even though I read the whole series this year, I obviously also read the sequels this year, so I'm gonna go with those. Okay, 3. New release you haven't read yet but want to. And once again, I'm not just gonna say one book, and so I'm gonna talk about 2 books that were in my anticipated releases of 2022 or something like that, that I posted at the beginning of the year. And so the first one is The Book of Cold Cases by Simone St. James, and this is a mystery thriller with a paranormal component. So in 1977, Beth was the suspect of a double murder, I think, but she was never convicted, and so she went to live in her mansion in the woods. And in 2017, Shia is running a true crime website, and she wants to have an interview with Beth. So she goes to Beth's house, but there is something weird going on. And so she doesn't really know if she's getting to know a murderer or if there are other dangers lurking around. And the second book is The Children on the Hill by Jennifer McMahon, and this is a horror and mystery thriller. So they are both mystery thriller and kind of horror, I suppose. So in 1978, a brilliant psychiatrist brings a creepy girl home, and she's called Iris, which I love for me. I love that the creepy child has my name, especially because for me personally, the creepiest thing in horror are children. They are just creepy. In any horror setting, if you have a child there, that's it. I'm done. The creepiest thing you can ever do to me. And she is actually supposed to be creepy, and she has my name, so yeah, love that. And so Iris and the other children who live there have I guess the other children already have the secret club to hunt monsters. And in 2019, a podcast host goes to a location where a young girl went missing and there was a monster sighting. And she knows that monsters are real because her own sister is one. And so that sounds very creepy and interesting, and there are probably connections between that podcast host and her sister and the creepy kids from 1978, so yeah, I'm excited. Those are two of the books that I really want to read. Okay, so next is the most anticipated... Why can't I talk? Okay, next is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year. And this is going to be another book that I talked about in that video. And it is What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, which is a horror book, and I just absolutely love the cover. So Alex has news that their friend Madeline is dying, so they rush to her house. But when Alex gets there, they realize that the house is surrounded by a lake, overrun by vegetation and fungal growths, because for some reason mushrooms are always associated with horror, which I don't appreciate because I actually do really love mushrooms. But anyway, Madeline is sleepwalking and speaking in strange voices, and then her brother also starts acting weird. So Alex basically has to figure out the mystery of the house before it consumes them all. And again, that sounds very creepy, and I am very excited for that book to come out. Okay, 5 is Biggest Disappointment, and that is actually another book I talked about in that video because it was one of my most anticipated releases, and I guess that's why it was such a big disappointment, because I was very excited for it. And it's called The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, and it's a mystery thriller. So Jess needs a fresh start. So she talks to her brother and asks him if she can go stay sometime at his Paris apartment. And when she gets there, her brother is nowhere to be seen, and all the neighbors are acting very strange, and it's clear to Jess that they know something. They know what happened to her brother. And so she sets on trying to figure out. But we get POVs from every single character in this book, which were a good amount, and I didn't care about literally any of them, especially I didn't care about Jess, and she was the one kind of moving the plot forward, so I didn't care about the plots. Not that it did move forward a lot, because we were just not learning anything until the end, where we kind of learned everything. I felt like in a rushed way, so yeah, I didn't really like it, and I was pretty bored. There was no thrill in a thriller, so yeah, definitely disappointed. Now, on the other hand, the biggest surprise, and that was Take a Hint, Danny Brown by Talia Hibbert, that I read for a romance reading vlog, because I never read romance, so I wanted to try it out. And this is a contemporary adult romance that I surprisingly really enjoyed. So we follow Danny and Zaf, and a video of him rescuing her goes viral, and everyone starts shipping them, so they start fake dating. But Zaf is a romantic, and he would actually like to date for real. And Danny, on the other hand, hates everything romance. And I just absolutely love them both so much. I love them as people, and I love their dynamic together as well. It was always really funny, it was really sexy, it was really cute. I just absolutely love it. And also I like the other plot that existed in the book apart from the romance as well. And it was not one of my favorite books I've read this year, but it was definitely a surprise that I really enjoyed. Okay, next is favorite new author, and that kind of ties in with my favorite books. Not The Priory of the Orange Tree, because Samantha Shannon is not a new author for me, but the Poppy War series by R.F. Kuang that I absolutely love. And this author has a book coming out this year that I am very excited to read, because I just love her writing. And yeah, definitely my new favorite author. And also because, as you know, I can't just talk about one, I can't make decisions. I also read Children of Ruin and Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky, which I also really enjoyed, and I am definitely interested in reading more books from this author. Okay, 8. Newest fictional crush. So I actually have 2, and they are from the same book, and they are Danny and Zaf from Take a Hint, Danny Brown. And I literally said in that video that they were my only crushes for this year so far in books, and they are very different, but I love them both. Zaf is super adorable and wholesome and cute. Danny is a lot more like me in a way that she hates everything that has to do with feelings, but they are both super funny, super incredible, and I am obsessed with both of them. Next, newest favorite character. So this is not a new character for me, but it's a new favorite because he didn't used to be my favorite. I didn't dislike him, I just didn't love him like I do now. And I had read 3 books with him before, and now I have read 8. I'm in the middle of the 9th, and that is Matt from the Wheel of Time series. This is the one I'm reading right now, and I just absolutely love him. He is incredibly funny and loyal and precious and cute and badass and iconic, and I am always looking forward to the scenes that he's in, and I am never disappointed. And yeah, he is definitely my new favorite character, and I totally understand why everyone that reads this series loves him. And this time I only have 1. I know, shocking. Okay, so the next question is a book that made you cry. And last year I did not have an answer for this, but this year I do. And the book that made me cry was The Burning God by R.F. Kuang, which is the 3rd in the Poppy War series. And the ending of this book was so heartbreaking that I was bawling my eyes out, which has not happened with the book in over 10 years. I mean, around that. I think I was I was 12 or 13, around that age, I think, when I last cried with the book. So, yeah, 10 years later, I cried with the book again because it absolutely crushed my heart. Now, there was another book that made me emotional. I did not cry, but I was feeling it, all the feelings, and that was These Silent Woods. Okay, so a book that made you happy. Again, These Silent Woods, because I was emotional for a good reason. And this was a mystery thriller, but honestly it was more like a emotional journey. It was really heartwarming, and even though the ending was bittersweet, it was mostly sweet, and I was my heart was so full, and it was so beautiful, and I absolutely love it. And definitely another book that made me happy, again, surprisingly, was Take a Hint, Danny Brown, because I loved them, I loved their romance, they were adorable, and yeah, it made me very happy. Next, the most beautiful book you have bought this year so far. And I actually have not bought many books this year, but there was one that I was with my friend in a bookstore, and we were both just walking around, browsing, and then we both stopped at this book because we both thought it was really pretty, and that is Empire of the Vampire, which is a very heavy book, by the way. This is massive, look at it compared to my face. It's really huge, but it's also really pretty, and it has drawings inside, which again, really, really pretty, and I am obsessed, and I have not yet read it, but I am definitely planning on reading it at some point this year. Okay, and the last question, what books do you need to read by the end of the year? And first of all, the remaining Wheel of Time series books, because I am reading one a month and I will finish in December, so I will definitely finish reading these. For sure, there is no doubt about it, unless some catastrophe happens, which honestly, in the state of the world, I don't doubt it. Now, these other books, I have used them for this answer last year, and I did not read them, but I'm still wanting to, and like I want to finish the Dune series. And I think the last time I answered this question, I had either 2 or 3 books in the series to read, and now I only have this one, which is the last one. I mean, it's not the last one, but it's the last one I'm planning on reading. But I did not like the previous book I read, so that is why I have not finished the series yet, but I really want to. I'm just kind of trying to gather my strength. And another series that I want to finish is the Witcher series, and I have 3 of these to read, I think, and probably the same amount I had this time last year, because I just stopped, and for no reason, because this one I was enjoying. I guess I forgot about it because I started reading other books, but actually I always use some books of this series for my tripod to film my videos, so like I always look at them every single week, and somehow I still manage to forget about them. But anyway, this is another book I plan to read, and like I mentioned, I want to read Empire of the Vampire as well. And honestly, I am terrible at creating a TBR, and even more terrible at sticking to it. So I don't know what else I'm gonna read, but hopefully a lot. And so we have reached the end of this tag, and we also have reached the end of this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give it a like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Bye!